So hi guys, I'm super excited to be talking to you today once more. So today I'd like to go a bit deeper into the concept of time or why it's important that you put time first. And keep in mind that what worked for me might not be the same situation for you. It's all dependent on your plans, your future perspective, what stage you are in your life now, what you're looking forward to doing, and so on and so forth. And like I mentioned before, I will be using myself in each case as an example. So talking about time, I started planning to study abroad 2 years before it finally happened. I was in my last year studying back then at the university and I started making the plans. So the time management is important in the sense that you don't want to put any person under pressure. First and foremost, you don't want to put yourself under pressure. You don't want to put the people that would help you or that will work with you under pressure. You want to see that you can carry everyone along at a good pace. In my case, like I mentioned before, I started planning 2 years before I finally moved over here. And I was in my final year then at the university. And then I started thinking, okay, what do I want to do after studying? So back in Nigeria, where I come from, after your first degree, so after your bachelor's, undergo 1 year youth service, basically get your first employment and you're paid by the government. I really use this period to prepare myself adequately. I would also recommend that, for undergraduates now or people who are already serving, this is a very good time for you to plan yourself. Think about what you want to do for yourself and think about how to use this time wisely. If you're not from Nigeria per se, in the last year of your undergraduate studies, it's a good time to begin to plan yourself. The reason that you want to plan yourself in advance is because it depends on the school that you want to apply to, course you want to apply to, what season that the admission windows are opened. Some courses or some schools, they are open in just in winter semester, some are open in summer, some are open in both semesters. You need time to check and then gather this information and then know, okay, when to apply. That being aside, if you're a fresh graduate, maybe your transcript is not ready, or maybe your result, your certificate as the case may be. Maybe you need one or two documents from the school before you can proceed. This also takes time. So the admission procedure, you want to take care of every requirement needed. Also, you also need time to begin to communicate with people, okay? You don't want to just, okay, you've sorted out all the admission procedures, and then you feel like, oh, I have everything, now I can just apply. You don't want to do that. Why? Because if you don't have friends, families, relatives here, it might not really be ideal for you to come here without knowing anybody. I mean, you're going to survive, but it's a lot easier that if you knew someone here, if you were already talking to someone here that maybe could pick you up from the airport, show you around when you finally come here. Most schools, they have these pickup programs, for new students. They pick you up from the airport, take you through the city, show you your hostel and stuff. They did that for me when I came. But you don't get this in every city. You don't get this in every school. So you want to think about this and plan for it ahead of time. The other issue is with accommodation. When it comes to accommodation in Germany, it might not really be easy, especially also now in Germany precisely that the rate of international students keeps increasing and also the rate of professional workers moving to Germany keeps increasing. So you want to plan very well in advance about accommodation. As students, there's always provision for you organized by the university. But you have to apply in time for you to get the spot because just like you, many other people are applying for the same hostel, for the same space. So you want to apply well in advance. My recommendation would be the hostels here are nice, but if you want to have your privacy, maybe you should network with people who are studying in the place that you want to study. Depending on which country that you're moving from to Germany, the temperature might not be the same. It could be like really, really drastic change in temperature, like you're coming from, I don't know, 35 degrees or 40 degrees or 25 and you're landing to 0, -5, which depending on what time of the year it is, and that can really, really have a big effect, in your health and also your psychology. Coming from so much sunlight and then you're coming from less sunlight or vice versa, depending on where you're coming from. So it's really hard if you don't know people, and then you just cannot cope effectively. So you want to take care of that you connect to people before you finally move here so that when you come, the transition will be really smooth. I also would like to mention, okay, for people who are thinking about whether to apply directly or they want to apply through some people who are studying here or an agency or whatever the case may be, you have to think about this properly before you begin the procedure. In my case, I had the time and so I applied myself. I did it myself, and it was nice, right? Because I had the time, I wanted the experience, and so on and so forth. You can do that by yourself if you have the time. But some people are really working 24/7, they don't have the time. They want people to manage the admission procedure for them. That's very understandable. I would recommend that while they're doing this for you, you also make out time to understand the procedure. Ask them what's happening, what are they doing, which school did they apply to, How did I do it? Why is this important? Because at the end of the day, you would have to attend your visa interview by yourself, and you want to prepare yourself in advance. We will talk about preparation for student visa interview much later, but this is also important here, talking about time management, planning. You want to see the end already from the beginning. So guys, I cannot overemphasize the importance of time when it comes to planning to study abroad. It's like the number one thing that you have to do, because every other thing would go smoothly if you have them well organized. And then time plays like the biggest role in organizing all these things. If you thought this video was helpful, let me know what you liked about the video. That's about it for today. Thank you once more for tuning in. I will see you next week.